On today's episode, we're talking about Luke Skywalker, whether or not he'll be back in episode 9. We're going to talk about The Last Jedi home release. We've been digging apart the behind the scenes. James and I both think Rian Johnson is a douche. We're going to go over the Han Solo picture, news breaking. This movie seems like it's actually going to be really good, but is anybody going to go see it? We're going to be doing all of that, plus fan questions. This is Nerds Talk Star Wars. Let's do this thing. Then my cheesy intro music. What is up, all of you beautiful nerds? I'm Josh. That's James Frazile from the Rebel Scum podcast, my honored guest this week for Nerds Talk Star Wars. James, how are you, brother?
I'm great. Can't wait to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, James was trying to go to Niagara Falls and have a fancy dinner, and I'm like, nope, you got to do the show first. So his wife is probably so mad at me.
She's so happy about this.
Aaron, you're amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get right into the topic so that James can go ski or get wine or whatever. So, Luke Skywalker, Episode 9. Is it going to happen? Mark Hamill has been very vocal about wanting to come back. If you watch the behind the scenes for Last Jedi, he's very vocal about not wanting to die in that last movie. And so he definitely thinks that he'll be back. A lot of fans want him to be back. The question is, James, Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams, they are working on that film right now. They're shooting in July. Are we going to hear that Mark Hamill is indeed coming back for Episode 9? What do you think?
I don't know. I actually just earlier today watched an episode with Erin, my wife, of Ellen from December when The Last Jedi was coming out and Mark Hamill was talking about it. I was talking to her about how, it kind of sucks that he might not be back in 9. I think a lot of people think he'll be back in Force Ghost form.
Yeah.
My feeling now, as it's been, I think, from the moment I left the theater is from Last Jedi, is J.J. Abrams. He got his pitch from Kathleen Kennedy was, what happened to Luke Skywalker? Don't you want to know what happened to Luke Skywalker? And he took on Star Wars based on that question. And then he didn't really do anything with Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens, leaving Luke in the hands of Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow. Now, Colin Trevorrow, as we're finding out, wanted a lot more Luke in Episode 9. He did not want him to die in 8. Rian Johnson said, nope, this is the only way it can happen. It can work is with Luke Skywalker dying at the end of this film. Kathleen Kennedy was on Johnson's side, obviously. Colin Trevorrow got fired. Now JJ comes back, and JJ never actually got to tell Luke Skywalker's story. And I feel J.J. Abrams has such admiration for the character that I can't see him going into 9 without having Luke serve some kind of purpose. I know J.J. Abrams will come out and say he's not selfish. He'll do everything for the right story. But I think at some point Rian Johnson we're going to talk about, was very selfish in The Last Jedi. I think every once in a while, maybe it's okay to be selfish. And maybe if you want to do a Luke Skywalker thing, you bring your childhood hero back.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's funny because we do hear those things about how they wanted to utilize him in 9 originally. And one of the things that's in the Last Jedi special features is they were talking about how Mark said he was hesitant to even come back to Star Wars. Part of the reason he did in the contract he signed was I don't want to do cameos, and I want an arcing story that takes place over this whole thing. So it's kind of funny that that didn't happen, you know what I mean? And he got the cameo essentially in 7, and then he dies. So I don't know, man. Yeah. I think contractually he can say, hey, I want to come back. But Mark doesn't seem the type of guy to really push that. But I'll say this. If they don't bring Mark Hamill back in Episode 9, I'll be incredibly disappointed as a fan. And it really seems like just a total misstep. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Why would you not bring Mark Hamill back? We've seen what Force Ghosts can do with Yoda bopping him on the head and all that sort of stuff. So I think that Luke still has a major part to play in all of this. And I'd love to see him interact with Rey and with Ben. He did say in the movie, I'll always be with you. And there were some people talking about the idea of him coming back and haunting Kylo Ren and being really creepy, not very creepy. What do you think about that?
I love it. Last week, somebody put in an email. What if Luke haunted Kylo through Rey's Force Skype? He doesn't directly interact with Kylo, but he uses Rey as a conduit to get to him.
Right.
I like that idea. I think that would be right up with it would be kind of a Yoda-esque thing to do if Yoda was a bigger dick than he was.
Right. Yeah.
Because he
For
can go
sure.
after and look, I think to finish off Luke's story, I know Rian Johnson. I think Rian Johnson feels that that hit Luke's passing and everything was a perfect arc for him. But I think a lot of fans feel it was a bit empty because I don't think that last battle on Crate lived up to what Rian Johnson thinks it does live up to. And so I think having Luke Skywalker back in 9, giving him a proper send off would satisfy a lot of people. But at the same time, I don't think that's why J.J. Abrams would bring him back, because J.J. Abrams famously went on with the Colbert Report, or no, Colbert, late, whatever the hell the show is now. And he was saying how the only people that didn't like The Last Jedi were people afraid of powerful women. So I don't know where their
Yeah,
views
that was
are.
sort of taken out of context a little bit though, because
I actually haven't seen the whole video. I've only
yeah, it was taken out of context. Like he's just referring to that specific group of fans, and look, that's real.
Yeah.
There are people out
It
there
is
that
real.
do exist that are
Look,
afraid of that, but
I'm sure you see it in the comments on your channel. I see it
for
on
sure.
both of mine. It's insane. But the thing is, the question I have is, what does Lucasfilm think that they need to bring Luke back? That's the question.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say hell yeah, especially because Carrie has passed, right? You want the link to the original trilogy. It just makes perfect sense. But guys, let us know. That's our topic. We both want Luke Skywalker in the movie. We're not sure what Disney will do, but we'll be reporting on it as soon as possible. But let us know in the comment section. What do you think about Luke Skywalker in episode 9?
That's the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Episode. Yeah, with this stupid Canto bite. All right, so let's talk about some Rian Johnson. Let's get into this. Now, look, some of my subscribers are big fans of Rian. Some of you guys, look, people were talking to me about this because I sort of said on one of the shows this week, I think he's a douche. You and I talked about it a little bit. You were like, yeah, I think he's a douche. And I wanted to talk to you about this and break it all down because now that we have The Last Jedi and home release, first of all, you get to watch it more than once, which is pretty cool. But second of all, you dug into the special features. I'm sure you have, right? You've been digging into that?
Yeah. I haven't actually watched the deleted scenes, oddly enough, because I keep hearing I've watched the ones online, like the two that and then I haven't watched any other ones because I hear they're good.
Yeah, I've heard some of them are good, some of them are a little whack, and look, the deleted scenes should have just been all Canto Bite stuff. That would have made a lot more sense. But let's get into this. So one of the things that I've said, and I've watched the movie over and over again, and I'm honestly like really glad. I love the movie for one reason is because it keeps me thinking, it keeps me coming back. I keep trying to figure it out, right? So on that level, I really like it as a piece of art. The more and more I watch it, the movie and the special features, I think that Rian is a douche, and what he did in parts of this movie were completely like his thing. So let me just say one thing, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. So a lot of people talk about like the leftist politics in The Last Jedi and like the social justice warrior type thing, and like I do, even Xena, my guest last week, she talked about this a little bit. I do not see it in there in a prevalent way. I just don't. Is it in there a little bit? For sure, but I don't see it as this agenda thing. A lot of people are like, Rian had this agenda, and he came in trying to do that. I do not see that, but I do think he did have an agenda, James, and his agenda was to shock and awe. He wanted to take Star Wars, rip it apart, just do stuff that was completely ridiculous and surprising. He wanted to make this, his masterpiece. You'll never forget this movie. This movie is so impactful. And one of the things I was thinking about is he overwrote it and he over-directed it. And nobody was really there to tell him no in certain parts of the film. So have you gotten any of that from what you saw in the special features?
Yeah, and it actually, the one thing, I watched the Jedi and the Director documentary. I actually really liked it. And as an indie filmmaker, you see it like, oh yeah, I remember not talking. I remember not listening to anybody, and that's what Rian Johnson seems to do in this a lot. Yeah. What hit me a lot was what Ridley Scott said. He goes, "You give these filmmakers who've made $20 films a $200 budget, and they don't know what to do." And I almost felt like, and The Force Awakens is not my favorite Star Wars film. I enjoy The Force Awakens, but it has problems. However, we've both said this. Of all three of them, it has the best flow.
Yeah,
it flows tremendously well.
Narration
from start to finish. Yeah, from start to finish, you're just like engaged. And whether you think it's a rehash of A New Hope, whether you think some of the characters suck, whatever, it comes and goes in 2 hours and 50 minutes or whatever like that, and you're just like, well, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
That's why I made $2 billion, right? Because you're like, oh crap, like J.J. Abrams is a master at that. Rian Johnson, like you said, it's like he came in, and when you watch this documentary, I said this on the show. I didn't say specifically on the podcast this week what it was, but I said if you don't like The Last Jedi, this is ammunition. You'll take this as ammunition. If you like The Last Jedi, you might shrug it off. But he came in and he said, "This is the movie I'm making." And it struck me when people who worked in Star Wars were like, "That's not really Star Wars." And he goes, "No, it is."
Yeah, dude,
Just
over and
trust
over
me.
again.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I had to fight really hard for this. Like one of the things, not to cut you off, but one of the things I really want to talk about, it's the beginning joke with Hux. Hate it. I hate it. And he's literally talking about, if you watch the director's commentary, he says, this is one of the things I fought very hard for. What that implies that there were a ton of people that were like, I don't know about this. I don't think this will work. I don't think we should start the movie this way. I don't know about this. And the idea of fighting means that some of those people were very boisterous with their opinions. He literally says in the beginning, he says, look, I love the tone that JJ set up, and I wanted to set up a fun tone. So I felt like it was really important to start with the joke. Then he literally says, this is a very different take on the character from the first movie, and he laughs about it. I was like, bro, what? Then he says, yeah, so we do this Monty Python type bit. And that's where I almost threw my 60-inch TV out the window because I was like, bro, you're aware of what you're doing. You think it's funny, and you're sort of like sitting back like, ha, 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 look what I did to Star Wars. And you said Monty Python? You gave us a straight-up Monty Python joke with a character that was totally different in the first movie, and you knew that. So, man, I got fired up when I heard him say that.
That was my biggest problem. And I liked the Last Jedi.
I love The Last Jedi.
I liked it more than you did the first time you saw it. But I liked it less than you did the next 8 times you saw it.
Yeah.
And I like the movie, but it's those little things that it's like, what the F balls, man? Just like reel it in. Like that joke with Hux, right off the bat, you're like, what the fuck? Like it just threw me off in my seat. I was like, this is not. And the thing that sucks about it the most is it's not funny. It's like,
it's not.
Like it wants to be funny, but it's not funny because Poe's joke with Kylo in The Force Awakens is funny.
Yeah.
Like, who talks first? Do you talk? But that's a nice icebreaker into, okay, this is going to be a fun adventure. Like, it was like, boom. We know the tone now. So now you come in with an over, and then and exactly, it's like Monty Python. Are we watching Three Stooges? What is happening here?
Right.
General Hugs. And the thing is, the scene after that precedes that is phenomenal. Like,
dude, there's a lot of phenomenal scenes in the movie. I think we both can agree on that.
Yeah, but like, cut that crap out with Hux.
Right.
Go right into the fighting, and all of a sudden, your beginning of your movie is so much stronger. It's little decisions like that. But the other thing too is, and on one hand, you have to give Rian Johnson credit, is he's hired to make a movie. He's hired to make a movie. He said, "This is the movie I'm going to make." He went to board. If you watch the Jedi and the director commentary documentary, he mentions board meetings a few times. He's been in the board meetings. They all know what's going on. He's like, this is what I want to do. And then, like you said it before, Kathleen Kennedy is like, this is the best experience I ever had making a movie, blah, blah, blah. They're all in love with Rian Johnson's vision. So you can't, if he's being a douche about it, you can't fault him because he's being told what he's doing is great. And it's, and it's his passion, and it's the movie he wanted to make. It's the movie that essentially he was hired to make, whether we like it or not. He was hired to make a Rian Johnson movie. And that's what he did. So, but at the same time, it's a Star Wars film, and you kind of have to respect that. And just some of the stuff he does, you're like, especially watching the documentary, like I don't know. I thought he understood Star Wars more.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I think that some of the stuff, and look, we'll move on to the next topic, but it's like, I just want to know too, like the last thing I want to ask you here is like, look, we've been back and forth on this movie. It's so crazy that this happens. I'm okay. I'm actually glad. I'm not just okay with it. I'm glad that this happened for a number of different reasons. It sort of sets things up for the future. It's sort of created this thing in the fan base where they feel now empowered and they're trying to make their voices heard. We maybe needed to have this kind of a discussion within Star Wars. What do we want Star Wars to be, right? And I think the movie is great, but it's like weird because you hired Rian Johnson to make a Rian Johnson movie, right? And he came in and he just Rian Johnson the shit out of it. He just Rian Johnson the shit out of it. And it was subversive. Like, he did that on purpose. He does these things on purpose. And I was very intrigued by how much disdain Mark Hamill had. Like, I thought maybe he was going to sort of hide that and they weren't going to play off of that in the documentary. Bro, it's right out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's right out there. And yet he gives an amazing performance. And so I don't know what the answer is. I don't wish The Last Jedi was different. I just think, like, as a fan base, we should be able to talk about these things where I'm like, yo, I really like The Last Jedi. I think Rian Johnson is a brilliant creator, but he's douchey, and he did douchey things to that movie, and I don't want that to happen again in a Star Wars movie.
Honestly, if there's like maybe 5 solid things in that movie that if you just took them out, the movie as a whole is like
so much better.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's just small things that won't impact too much. Yeah, the Mark Hamill stuff, you know, he gave like he says in the documentary, he's like, you know, it's not my character. I'm hired to play him. I just, you know, they loan him out to me and I do it. And you know, he did his job because look, Mark Hamill's smart. He knows that he knew that this would piss off fans. He knows that fans are pissed off. He said at the Oscars, give the people what they want, kill Luke Skywalker facetiously.
Yeah, right.
But he knows he could be that guy, give a good performance in the movie. Nobody's going to hate on Mark Hamill for ruining The Last Jedi. True. They hate on Rian Johnson for changing Luke Skywalker.
True.
Mark Hamill did his job. He's like, look, he's like, look, it's not what I wanted, but I have to do what they tell me to do, and that's what I did. And so we're not complaining about Mark Hamill's performance. We're complaining that, you know, well, not us specifically, but people are complaining, you know, mopey Luke and all that stuff. For me, the Luke stuff, there is a rave scene that I haven't watched, but I read about it, and I'm going to watch it soon. But apparently in that scene, you find out why he decides he's going to go help the Resistance out. You find out more about Rey. Like, a lot is developed in that scene that got cut. And that's, sorry, just my one problem with the movie, and I said this, and it really didn't hit because I saw it one time in the theater. But it didn't hit me until I saw the Phasma deleted alternate scene thing that the Star Wars show released like a week or two before. And this movie is actually fine. It's the execution of it that is not. And that's where I go back to J.J. Abrams with the pacing. It's like Rian Johnson has ideas, but I don't feel he executed it well. Like it's choppy.
It's choppy, and I think that he overwrote it at the end of the day. Like, he overwrote it.
Because he wanted twists for the sake of twists. You know, he wanted to shock us for the sake of it.
He was so obsessed with making his stamp, with making his mark. You know what I mean? And I think there's a part of him that actually makes him a really incredible artist. This part of him that he's got this kind of eternal chip on his shoulder. And he's always trying to sort of, you know, prove something with his art. And I think it literally makes him a great filmmaker. But I think that they needed to reel him back a little bit on this. But, you know, to your point, and this is another thing that's so fascinating, when you watch all the behind-the-scenes stuff, Disney was blindsided by this, completely blindsided by this. They thought they had made something that was going to be unanimously praised, that was going to take Star Wars to the next level. Fans were going to love it. They were so blind to that. It really seems like there were only a few people on set, Mark Hamill being one of them, that were like, I don't think people are going to like this. Because there's this really funny moment in the documentary where Mark Hamill says, well, you know, look, if it succeeds, then it's all on him. But if it fails, it's also all on him.
Yep.
So.
And that's the way movies should be anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on to our next topic. But, guys, let us know what you think about this little discussion about the Rian Johnson thing. Look, I've tried to explain this with efficacy to you guys. I don't hate Rian Johnson. I don't hate The Last Jedi. But I empathize with a lot of the people that don't like the film. And the more I look into this stuff, I think, yeah, Rian was a little douchey. So, please, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Last official topic of today's show, and then we're getting into a sweet fan question. This is all about the Han Solo movie. James, there's some cool stuff out there about Han Solo that got me personally excited. This has to do with the range troopers. Did you hear about these guys?
Moderately.
So let me break it down. So there's these range troopers. They're new stormtroopers. They exist in the Outer Rim. They're kind of more autonomous because they're not connected to the Empire peeps. So they're going to be more like Rangers out in like the Old West. There's also more information about Enfys Nest. Now, Enfys Nest and his gang that we see in the trailer, they are a biker gang. They are essentially a biker gang in space. And I think a lot of this conflict is going to resolve around that train heist. And so, like, I'm loving this more and more, man. We're getting a train heist. You get space biker gangs. You've got stormtroopers that are acting autonomously, probably really corrupt. And it's all seeming like just fantastic to me. So considering all of that, where are you at with the anticipation for the Han Solo movie?
Hashtag third best Star Wars film.
Boom, baby. Yeah, James has been championing that.
Brock asked me what the first two were best ones were, and I said it's subjective, but this is, this is the third best one.
I love it. I love it.
Best one. Look, John Campy on Friday. I'm just hearing this now. I just got a message. Is saying he doesn't want to get ahead of himself, but he is hearing really good things about the Solo film.
Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Look for all the haters out there, because look, I understand why I hate this movie, because a lot of people, you were one of them, and I started off as one, where it's like, I don't need a Solo movie. Yeah. I do not need it,
for sure.
Right? But here's the thing that really turned the tide for me. First of all, I love Han Solo. I read all the books, so I was like, well, why wouldn't I want a movie? That was the first thing. That's a personal thing, though. But the other thing was, this movie started with George Lucas. George Lucas had a bunch of ideas for movies. He said, hey, Kathleen Kennedy, produce these movies with me. I want to do this one, this one, this one. Let's hire Lawrence Kasdan to write whichever one he wants. Lawrence Kasdan walks in. He picks up the script for Han Solo, or he picks up the idea for Han Solo. He says, this is my favorite character. I want to make this movie.
Right.
And he wrote that script, and then Disney bought Lucasfilm. So this idea predates the Disney acquisition. They've been working on it. Word was out there that this was one of the best Star Wars scripts ever. Lawrence Kasdan, I believe, if Lawrence Kasdan worked with Rian Johnson on the script of The Last Jedi, that Hux scene would have had humor, but it would have been good.
Right.
You know, that's the thing. Kasdan,
Yeah.
Kasdan gets it, and nobody knows Han Solo better than Kasdan. George Lucas, no, it's Kasdan. Yeah. Kasdan got into arguments in diners with J.J. Abrams over lines of dialogue that Han Solo says. He would throw food and say,
diners, because I would just turn around and be like, JJ, listen to the man. You know
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
But nobody knows him better. So I'm like, so look, this movie could be terrible. I'm not saying that it's not, but for me, from everything I've heard about it, when you saw the trailer was fine. And I never thought it was in trouble. Well, I mean, obviously it was with Lord and Miller.
They fired the director. 5 weeks left in principal. Yeah. I thought no problem.
But they redid the whole thing with Uncle Ron. And look, I'm going hashtag third best Star Wars film. It's not going to be deep. It's not going to be too emotional, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time in May, and it's going to be the #1 movie of the year, behind Avengers: Infinity War and Deadpool.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So that kind of leads me into my next point. Now, let me just kind of fanboy out for a little bit here. I'm super excited. I've turned around 100% on this movie. I was like, nope, screw this movie. Nope. Oh my God, they fired Lord and Miller. Oh my God, Ron Howard. Oh my God, they remade the movie. You know what I mean? Like all these things. You just follow. Yeah. You're like, this is a catastrophe. But then I saw the trailer. It really won me over. The more I hear about it, some of the little things that I just were telling you gets me pumped, bro. It gets me very excited for this movie. So my excitement level is very high. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I think despite that, despite the movie being dope, despite all of these things, I still think the movie's going to get crushed in the box office. I tend to believe there's a large group of people out there that are literally going to put their money where their mouth is when it comes to Star Wars now and Disney. They are so pissed about what's going on that they are literally not going to see that movie. So that's like a chunk. Let's call it 10% of the potential audience they could have had. I also think that Infinity War is going to be something special. People are still going to be watching that movie when that comes out. I think Deadpool 2, the screening, 98%, get out of town. Deadpool 2 is going to be incredible, and people are going to still have a decision to make. Do I go see Deadpool 2 or do I go see Solo? I think when you combine all of those factors, I think the Han Solo movie is going to be amazing and yet not make much money. What are your thoughts?
I think it'll tap out around. I think it's going to do like 700 to 800, somewhere around there.
See, I would consider that still a massive success. I think it's going to be less than 500.
Right? Yeah, I think Disney, they know they know what it's going to make right now. You know what I mean? Like they know.
And by the way, from what I'm hearing about what they know, they think it's going to bomb.
Yeah, but what is a bomb though?
500 or less, probably.
Yeah. See, here's the thing: if it's really good, if it's really
on it, bro.
But let's say it's really good, and you have 5.
Oh my God! Okay, you're back. All right, let's try it again. 5 friends.
No, Aaron's not here. No one's on the internet but me. I don't know which side it is. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Let's say you have 5 friends, okay? And you go see it hypothetically. You're like, this is the best Star Wars movie ever. And you tell those 5 friends they have to see it. 2 of them might go.
Okay.
So does it potentially have does it have the potential to have legs as the summer goes on? Because after that, there's not much until Incredibles 2, Jurassic World, right? So
Right.
there's almost a month in between the next blockbuster coming out,
Right.
and so Avengers will have already been out for a month. Yeah, that's still going to be crushing, unless it's
Right.
the worst movie ever made. Could you imagine?
That would be
But
terrible. Yeah.
Avengers will still be crushing. But people will be like, okay, I'm going to go. Plus, Deadpool is going to be rated R, so people
Right.
might
Okay.
buy solo tickets to go in to see Deadpool.
Well, we're struggling. Hey guys, we're on the struggle bus with the internet today, so I apologize. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Last thing I want to talk to you about, James, the fan question. Oh God, the fan question, man. The fan question. I don't remember who sent me this question, and I can't go on the internet to check it out because it will crash everything. So this has to do with Jason Sandula. You son of a gun, don't you do it. Don't you make me crack. With Jason Sandula possibly being a new Jedi with Rey in episode 9. What do you think about that? Do you think that'd be possible?
I think it's 0%. I would love. Look, I'm not against it. We did Andrew Fantasia and I, when we did our Rebels recap show on the finale, we're like, what if he was a Knights of Ren? What if he was at Luke's Academy? And we're all excited. And that'd be totally cool. I just don't think so. There's something, I think, the animated films and these saga films, I think they're separate. And I don't think J.J. Abrams would have put that in. There's more than enough time for him to know that the character exists. But what purpose would that fill? I mean, just the people that watch Rebels would get it. Now, if they were Knights of Ren and they're all masked, and then you read a novel and they're like, one of them was Jason Sandula,
right?
In a novel, you'd be like, what? But
for sure. But I think there's room to do it. So here's what I would say: if Rey, it depends on the time jump, right? It depends on the time jump. If Rey has a ton of Jedi or a number of Jedi, like it just makes sense to do Jason. Like I would say, why are you gonna have all these random Jedi in there? Jason would be older at this point too, because he's probably like 4. He's very young after Endor, right? They're showing her after the Battle of Endor, Hera. So he would be, let's say, in his 30s. He would be Kylo Ren type age, right? So if he is out there, if he is Force sensitive, I could see a situation where they bring him in and you have Rey being like, hey, I'd really like you to come help me. I know your father was a Jedi. His mother could still even be involved in what was going on. But I do agree that it wouldn't be a main focus. Like, they're not going to put it right in front of everyone's face. But if there's a number of Jedi around there, and then you hear Rey say, Jason, will you take the Padawans to do this? And it happens to be a dude with green hair and kind of looks like a Twi'lek human combo. That's all you need. Like, you don't need to give us like a hardcore example of him in the story. And what that would open up the door for is them exploring it later.
Yeah, well, he could also be the subject of Filoni's next animated film.
That's
story.
True. That's very series. True. I guess it would kind of depend. And I know they're actively having these things. But here's what I would say. Like, if JJ's like, and JJ wouldn't be like this, but let's just assume that maybe someone on the production was like, hey, we're starting to put a bunch of new Jedi in the movie. Hey, story group, what are some people we could throw in here? Pablo could be like, here's Jason Sandula, and that would be really interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah, totally. But then the story group would have to have some input on the actual stories. So,
yes, almost as though there's an issue there.
Well, look, there's no issue when it comes from comic to animated film to novelization. There's an issue with the films, like where that, like, what? That's another topic.
Yeah, that's another topic for a day. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Nerds Talk Star Wars. Guys, thank you so much for checking us out, hanging out with us on a Sunday night, talking about some Star Wars. James, where can people find you on the internet if they don't already know?
You can't. You can find me at Rebel Scum Podcast, where I talk Star Wars all the time. We're going to do some videos next week over there doing the exact same topic we just did. maybe not. There's going to be a cool Mortis show coming this week with Andrew Fantasia and another guy talking about Mortis, because
Mortis is dope.
Yeah, you can also catch me on my other channel where I talk all things movies at Digital Charcuterie, and you're on there quite a bit now.
Yes.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I just like talking movies. So
yeah,
so
for sure. Go check out James's stuff. He does awesome stuff over there. Thank you guys so much. I've got actually some really big announcements coming about Star Wars Sunday and a sponsorship deal that we're doing that's going to be really, really cool. And also some cool guests. The Star Wars Connection ladies got a hold of me this morning and said that they will do a collaboration. So I'm hopefully having those two ladies on a future episode. I'm actively looking to bring more guests in. Please drop some questions in the comment section. I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about when it comes to Star Wars, okay? As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.